Good afternoon, guys. Ryan here with Great Lakes Storm Chasing Network. We're going to go live here. Typically, we cover Michigan, Indiana, but we have some concerning weather ongoing in the eastern part of Ohio. We already have warnings in place here, some of which are actually significant warnings. This whole entire box you see from the Alliance, Canton, and Salem area down to the Woodsfield area, this entire box is for destructive severe winds. This is going to be winds up to 80 miles per hour regarding the storm, it doesn't look too impressive, but again, this system is very wind shear packed, so it may not look impressive all the time here, but it does look concerning here for 80-mile-per-hour winds. And there's actually been a few wind gust reports confirmed at I believe it's at the Zanesville Airport or in Zanesville of 76 mile per hour gusts there via a source I have. So that is going to be concerning here as it moves to the eastern part of Ohio into Pennsylvania momentarily here. So we're going to be tracking this as it does so, and we're going to just kind of stay with it. Again, this is just eastern Ohio. There's no risk today for Indiana or Michigan, but it does look concerning here for the eastern half of Ohio. So Youngstown, Boardman, East Liverpool, Cadiz, Woodsfield. If you live in the West Virginia, Pennsylvania areas, we're looking at Wheeling, Morgantown, just numerous severe warnings in place here, two lines actually across Pennsylvania and eastern Ohio. So this is going to be a little bit more concerning here. Again, destructive severe warning is something you want to take very, very seriously here, as that means winds are upwards of 80 miles per hour. So basically, what that means is, you know how tornadoes they're really small and they rotate, whereas this is kind of like a steamroller in a way where it's just like rolling 80-mile-per-hour winds, which is equivalent to an EF1 tornado. So widespread area of potential wind damage ongoing here across eastern Ohio as that pushes eastward into Pennsylvania here, northeastward to be exact. So Youngstown, you need to be on alert. That's a big population center there. Youngstown, Boardman, Salem, looking at Warren as well. The warning, although, is in effect here for 40 minutes here. So Woodsfield, Cadiz, Richville. I'm probably going to butcher some of these names, guys, so I do apologize. But Augusta, Carrollton, you guys need to be inside, away from windows. Honestly, wouldn't be a bad idea to go ahead and hunker down into your basement because, again, 80 mile per hour winds equivalent there to a EF1 tornado in a widespread area. And obviously, these are straight line winds. This isn't anything tornadic, so to speak, but the equivalent wind speed is equivalent to an EF1 tornado. So basically, warnings exist all the way basically from the eastern Cleveland area all the way down almost to the West Virginia border here. So it's a very uh, it's it's one of those days where everything is going to probably produce a lot of wind here, so some of which could be significant. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the Cleveland area. We have numerous cells here. We have a 60 mile per hour warning up here. This is going to be for the county. We'll get the county names on here. Give me 1 second. Pop this in. We're going to pop in the counties. We're going to label some off here because I'm not too familiar with this side. So we got Lake County. I'm probably going to butcher some of these guys. I apologize. Lake Guaga, Portage, Summit, all within 60 mile per hour warning there. We have Stark County, Columbiana, Carroll, Harrison, Jefferson, Belmont, Guernsey, Noble, Monroe, as well as Tuscarawas County. Again, I'm going to butcher these. So those are going to be in effect here between 60 and 80 mile per hour winds possible with these storms as this line pushes to the east northeast. So we're going to be tracking this as long as it's in Ohio, probably about another hour or so. So if you guys want to hunker down, if you live in the path of this, be a great idea. Really, if you live in the eastern part, if you live basically east of Alliance, Ohio, you need to be inside, away from windows. This line doesn't even look too organized, but don't let it fool you here because we have a lot of wind shear today in the atmosphere. These storms are going to crank. So these are going to be moving immediate areas impacted here. Chardon, we're going to be looking at the Middleville area, Burton, Garrettsville, Hiram, Freedom, Wyndham, Atwater, Deerfield, Lexington, Alliance, Salem, Hanoverton, Minerva, I can't, Minerva, I can't, I'm just going to skip that one. Augusta, Carrollton, Salingville. Summitville, Amsterdam, Jewett, Hopedale, Cadiz, St. Clairsville, Barnesville, Malaga, Woodsfield, and Caldwell, all within this severe thunderstorm warning. And again, this is a for 80-mile-per-hour winds, destructive severe warning here for the counties of Columbiana, Carroll, Harrison, Belmont, Guernsey, Noble, and Monroe counties. This is going to be in effect for about 40 more minutes, 37 to be exact. We're going to be live here as long as this is impacting the state of Ohio. On the north side here, we have a couple of 60-mile-per-hour warnings. It's going to be for Canton, Alliance, looking at the zoom way in here. Windham, Freedom, Atwater, Deerfield, Diamond, Randolph, Mantua, Burton, Hamden, and Perry areas, as well as Madison. Expect 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Further south, though, again, in the Zanesville area, which is back here, we had a report, actually a confirmed wind gust of right around 76 miles per hour on this storm, which is what prompted this destructive severe warning. Now, if we zoom way out here, we actually have another line here outside our coverage area in Pennsylvania, but that one is also producing significant wind gust here through the Pittsburgh metro area. In fact, Pittsburgh has a warning there for considerable 70-mile-per-hour winds, as well as hail up to an inch and a tornado possible tag. Looks like they also downgraded the destructive warning now to considerable. That's again, that's 70-mile-per-hour winds, which is still significant. And then also a new warning popping in here, a large warning here. Again, 70-mile-per-hour winds for this one from Youngstown north to Ashtabula. 70-mile-per-hour winds, and the damage threat is considerable with this one. So you guys are probably getting your EAS alerts pushed to your phone. I believe they get pushed. They may not get pushed for considerable. I believe it might be destructive, but you guys may be getting alerts on your phones now for warnings here in the counties of Ashtabula, Trumbull, and Mahoning County, as well as Columbiana County. That is a new warning just got issued just moments ago there from the National Weather Service out of Cleveland. So these storms are moving very rapidly to the northeast at roughly 60 miles per hour. So they're going to be out of the state of Ohio pretty quickly here, but still we have a lot of population center to go. We have Ashtabula up there is populated. I know Youngstown's very populated here. Warren, Boardman, Salem, a lot of areas here with a large population center. So this might be a concerning, a very concerning afternoon here, should I say. I'm going to change the graphic over here to a considerable warning here. So we're actually matching the actual warnings. There we go. Perfect. So anywhere in yellow, really, if you live in one of the yellow boxes, you need to be inside, away from windows, and hunker down there as these storms pass through. And don't let it deceive you. There's not going to be any purples or reds on radar, but the wind shear with this system overall, the past 2 days, we've seen significant winds, significant tornadoes with this system. Don't let it fool you. The wind shear is cranking. It's not going to take a lot to drive those stronger winds up aloft down here to the surface, which is why you're seeing these confirmed reports of numerous severe thunderstorm winds. We have a report here, over 3,000 customers without power in Coshocton County. We have a 76-mile-per-hour wind gust at the Zanesville Airport via ASO station. In Morgan County, we have a 911 call center reporting numerous trees down north of McConnellsville. So this line of storms is producing damage. Also in the Cleveland area, a 55-mile-per-hour gust. So that's just below severe limits. A 55-mile-per-hour gust just a mile north of Broadview Heights, which is on the east side of downtown Cleveland. Go ahead and animate this for you guys. So I'm going to take the Cleveland radar here and just go and run this through. Let it roll. A lot of warnings out there today for severe wind. That's to be expected with this system. Again, very wind shear packed, and this deserves every bit of warning that can get out. Our coverage area does not include Pennsylvania, but I will also say there's a secondary line that has developed in the Pittsburgh area down through about the Morganton, West Virginia area. That is producing severe wind gusts as well as potential spin-up tornadoes in the Pittsburgh metro area as we speak. This one looks a little bit more intense. via the reflectivity. So you had some purples in there as well, perhaps some small hail producing storms there. But regardless, any one of these storms that you see on your screen in a yellow box does have potential for significant wind gusts, 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts. Definitely a possibility today as these storms push to the east northeast. And again, we are going to be live here for a good while, and at least until these storms get close or at least clear the state of Ohio. I can't imagine it be too much longer. These storms are flying north northeast at about 60 miles per hour. So good news is won't be in Ohio too long, but the bad news is we still have a lot of population to get through. Let's go to chat here. Let's go. Alan, Diana, Janelle, Weathered Pages. Thank you for joining us here. This isn't really our typical coverage is Michigan, Indiana, but we always like to pop on every time, any chance we get. Anytime Ohio does get severe weather, we do partner with Ohio News and Weather, their Facebook page there. So they're usually the ones who will get you alerted with all these warnings going out on their pages. But no one's live here, so we decided to pop on and really get the word out here as best as possible for the eastern half of Ohio while we have a free minute. Where are you guys watching from? I have about 20 of you guys in here watching, so let me know. The storm system over the weekend, the same one that's producing severe weather here, has produced over 70 tornadoes as well as 30 fatalities, which is the unfortunate side of weather. So we're looking at probably one of the most I don't know the exact like hit the data for it, but I know 30 some fatalities over 2 days is quite significant. And I have to imagine it's one of the more deadlier days or weekends, should I say, in the most recent weather history. And somebody can correct me if I'm wrong with that, but regardless, a lot of people lost their lives and a lot of damage done to property over the past 2 days across the U.S., especially the deep south. But we also saw our fair share here in the Great Lakes region. We had a couple severe warnings yesterday in Michigan. We had numerous tornadoes in the state of Indiana. We had at least 7 so far confirmed in the state of Indiana. None for Ohio yet, and I'm not aware of any, perhaps 1 or 2 for Illinois. But as far as Indiana goes, they're on the board this year with their first few tornadoes of 2025. So we're going to be on here tracking Ohio for the next hour or two. As this exact same system moves through the Northeast, we have enhanced risks out for Pennsylvania, a slight risk out for Ohio. And the reason that we are alive here is the fact we have numerous severe thunderstorm warnings in effect that was destructive, now is considerable. So that means that winds were at 80 miles per hour. Now they're back down to 70 miles per hour with this approaching line here between Akron and Youngstown. Movement on these are 60 mile per hour to the north northeast. I have a friend in Westlake, western suburb of Ohio. Looks like it's already past them. Yep, it's past Westlake. So that's good. That's perfect. Yeah. They had their fair share of weather there about an hour and a half ago. A new report coming out of what appears to be Summit, Ohio. A measured 69 mile per hour gust in Summit County, which is almost near the Stark County line. So that's coming out of the North Akron area, if not mistaken by that. Just north of Akron. Or sorry, just to the east of Akron. I'm not sure why it says Michigan Storm Chasers at the top there. It should say Great Lakes. So let's go ahead and fix that here if I can. There we go. I'm not sure why I said Michigan Storm Chasers on it. Nothing happened in Michigan, guys. It's all Ohio today. So let's count how many counties we have underneath the warning currently. We have Lake County, Ashtabula, Guaga. I'm probably butchering that name. Guaga, Trumbull, Portage, Mahoning, Columbiana, Stark, Carroll, Jefferson, Harrison, Belmont, Guernsey. We have at least like 12 counties underneath the warning right now for severe winds between 60 and 70 miles per hour. Looks like they just upgraded all the warnings. So all the warnings you see on your screen are for 70 miles per hour. There's no destructive warnings in effect, which is great news, but still considerable warnings up to 70 miles per hour is still significant. They just trimmed that one back, kept the considerable warning here. So the east side of Belmont, Harrison, Jefferson, and Columbiana counties no longer are currently are not in a warning, but probably will be in a warning momentarily as the storms push to the east northeast. We have a good radar here out of the Pittsburgh airport. Let's go ahead and check our velocities. And there you go. These are your velocities upwards of 60 to 70 miles per hour here along the leading edge of this line. Carrollton down toward Cadiz looks like it has the most significant winds. Further north, not seeing that signature, but again, don't let it fool you. We'll have severe winds here on the surface scattered throughout this line. How is the tornadic threat today? It's with these storms in eastern Ohio, it's quite low right now, but there is a tornado watch further to the east in Pennsylvania. And also, I think parts of the warning area currently are in a watch as well. But right now, there's not really showing signs of rotation. We could have some brief spin ups, but right now that risk is quite low that I see according to Reddit. Nothing really organized that suggests we're going to have some spin ups here, at least imminent. I would expect that threat to be highest with this line out in front in Pennsylvania. So really no threat for tornadoes today that we're seeing right now, at least in the state of Ohio, but it's not impossible. Sorry about that. I'm getting the daily YouTube video uploaded here for Michigan. So that's exporting now. We'll get that uploaded here momentarily. Yeah, one thing I want to mention with these storms, though, usually with severe thunderstorms like this, you see a very organized line. Like over here, it's a perfect example in Pittsburgh. You usually see a very organized, sometimes wavy type of line like this. That's usually the indicator for severe winds. But with these storms that are currently warned, as I lost my mouse, there it is. There's not really much organization going on with these. They're just kind of scattered blobs of rain, so to speak. But that is because our cold front is dragging right behind this system, pushing pushing this way. As it does so, that cold front is helping bring those winds down to the surface. So these rain showers, they actually do kind of mix the atmosphere together and kind of pulls down those stronger winds, which is why you don't need to see as good of organization with these types of systems. So even though it looks kind of spotty there, it's going to be producing heavy winds here. I had that same thing happen to me yesterday in Michigan. It looked kind of disorganized, so to speak, and then all of a sudden the winds just smacked. We had a lot of damage here where I live. So, speaking of damage, getting reports out of the um, looks like the looks like Summit Portage line there. Looks like a report of damages in there. Looks like a barn, perhaps damage via a third party source. I'm gonna try to work to confirm that, but looks like perhaps some damage already coming in. from these storms. Not surprising at all. With these are 70-mile-per-hour winds being produced by these storms, it's going to produce damage. There's no getting around that. All right, so severe warnings have been issued now. 60-mile-per-hour winds just for that same area I just mentioned, Jefferson, Eastern Columbiana counties, and that's been filled in there with a 60-mile-per-hour wind warning. Not considerable, which is good news. We have a good radar look here from the Pittsburgh radar, and we're seeing this most severe winds currently from about Augusta down to about the Cadiz and Hopedale area, moving towards Steubenville, Toronto, and East Liverpool, that general vicinity. Further north, though, the radar kind of cuts out. We go to the Cleveland radar. The beam is higher off the ground here, but we're still likely getting severe winds all the way down along this line here as this pushes to the northeast. So basically, all these warnings, minus the southern part of this line, is now for 70-mile-per-hour winds. So if you live from Alliance north, you're in a considerable severe warning for 70-mile-per-hour winds. If you live south, you're in a regular severe warning for 60-mile-per-hour winds. So 60-mile-per-hour winds, your type of winds that will take down some trees. Maybe if you're unlucky, some shingles off your house. When you get to that 70 mark, that's when you start getting, some structural damage, some shingles missing, perhaps some siding damage, your gutters get torn off, that kind of stuff. When you get to 80-mile-per-hour winds, that's when we start getting those damaging winds, like we start getting structural damage, like integrity to structures, stuff like that, because 80-mile-per-hour winds is equivalent to an EF1 tornado. Basically, when you have severe thunderstorms like this, it really acts as like a steamroller, so to speak, kind of like a, not gonna say derecho, it's not what this is, but essentially straight line wind damage can cause equivalent damage to tornadoes on a more widespread basis as well. Man, this line out ahead of this is really popping off. Pennsylvania is not in our coverage area, but this line is very, very potent. And these warnings are for considerable 70-mile-per-hour winds as well as quarter size hail as this line pushes across western Pennsylvania towards central Pennsylvania. So again, you have an enhanced risk out today. Go ahead and take a look at the SPC outlook here, so I can show you guys the risk today. So if you're watching from Michigan or Indiana, our usual coverage areas, nothing happened today. Zooming way out here, here is your risk. We have a slight risk in yellow, which is right here. We have a marginal risk in dark green, which is the central part of Ohio. But if you zoom way in here, there is an enhanced risk that is right about here. That is your highest risk today for damaging winds as well as a couple tornadoes. So these storms are pushing into the better environment right now. I would not be shocked to see a couple spin up tornadoes along the leading edge of this line here. It looks very QLCS-y, quasi-linear convective system. Basically, it's a fancy term for a lot of wind, a lot of rain, some small to medium-sized hail, perhaps a large hailstone, but also potential for a couple brief spin-up tornadoes that should be weak in nature. I'm not seeing anything that screams tornadic along this line right now in Pennsylvania, but I'm also not seeing the same thing here in Ohio. The Ohio is very disorganized, looking very disorganized, but again, don't let that fool you. Does not need to look organized to get those strong winds that are above our heads pulled down to the surface, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Numerous severe winds. We had 76 miles per hour out of Zanesville. We had 69 out of Summit County. We had a 56 or 55 gust out of the Cleveland area. So these winds are very strong to severe, and we did go live here because we did have a destructive severe warning for a large portion of southeastern Ohio. Luckily, now that's been dropped to a considerable warning here for the northern half of the state. So reading off some names here, should be in their base or inside away from windows. Jefferson, Pierport, Dorset, New Lyme, Cherry Valley, Andover. Jefferson, already said that. Ashtabula. Whoops. What'd I do? Omega's been really weird lately. Let's try that again. Jefferson, Dorset, Rome, New Lyme, Cherry Valley, Andover, Windsor, Greene, Kinsman, Mecca, Cortland, Fowler, Hartford, Champion Township, Warren, Brookfield Township, Niles, Youngstown, Hubbard, Austintown, Canfield, Boardman, Struthers, New Lima, New Middleton, Salem, New Buffalo, and North Lima. Sorry, I said New Lima. North Lima, Columbiana, Leetonia, Middleton, Unity, East Palestine, East Carmel, Lisbon, Clarkson, Fredericktown, West Point, Cannons Mills, Calcutta, East Liverpool, down continuing Richmond, Wintersville, New Cumberland, Irondale, Hammondsville, Hopedale, Smithfield, and Wellsburg. You guys need to be inside and away from windows. You guys happen to know anybody who lives here, or if you live close to the cities I just called out, inside, away from windows as this line of storms passes you. So if you live north of Salem, basically Alliance Salem Columbiana, if you live north of there in a warning, you're in this, or you're in a considerable warning, 70 mile per hour winds. If you live south of there, it's 60 mile per hour winds. So the further north you go, the stronger the line becomes. We're seeing that considerable tag continue for the northeast half of Ohio. We're gonna turn off that SPC outlook here so it's less cluttered. Your tornadic risk today is a 5% across the board. Looks like it's highest here across where these storms are currently, really, is where this threat for tornadoes is highest. But a 5%, definitely could get a few spin ups there. But as like I said, as of right now, nothing looks imminent. But that could change. These lines of storms like to spin tornadoes up very quickly. They're often hard to catch, and most of that threat is in Pennsylvania along this line. So no threat to Ohio with this line, but for right now, we're not really seeing too much. Maybe a few little what we're going to call kinks there in the line, um, where these little kind of indents kind of happen. We could see a couple, brief spin ups happen, but it's very hard to depict this. That's a little bit better look there when we kind of flip our velocity table with the reds and greens coming together to signify a little bit of some weak rotation by Leechburg, Pennsylvania. So we'll keep an eye on that. Again, Pennsylvania is not in our coverage zone. We're not going to stay live for Pennsylvania like we are for Ohio, but I will take a peek here at these storms for you guys if you happen to know friends and family who live in Pennsylvania, myself included. I actually have family in Pennsylvania, not close to this risk, but they'd be further down the line later on this afternoon. So we'll be watching that a little bit closer. These storms are rapidly racing off to the northeast at 60 miles per hour. They'll be out of the state here in the next probably 20 to 30 minutes, I had to guess. They're racing to the northeast. Each scan on your screen here is roughly about a minute to 2 minutes. So they're rapidly racing. And for some reason, the Cleveland radar kind of skipped. Let's go to Pittsburgh here. Let's see a little bit better look, perhaps, of how fast these are moving. Looks like Pittsburgh's rolling theirs at about every 2-minute update. So they're flying to the northeast at about 60 to 70 miles per hour. The text of the warning has the miles per hour, and it says moving northeast at 60. Wouldn't be shocked if it's over 60. These things are flying. Yeah, the bottom text says 65. Would not be shocked they're flying 70 to 80 miles per hour here because these are 2-minute scans and they're going about, man, about 2 to 3 miles a minute. They're absolutely flying. Counties under warnings currently: Ashtabula, Trumbull, Mahoning, Columbiana, Carroll, Jefferson, Harrison, and Belmont counties in eastern Ohio. Yeah, it's insane. I mean, these are flying. I can't say that. I've seen storms. The fastest storm I've chased actually was back in 2019. We had a storm going 95 miles per hour across Indiana. We could not keep up with it. It was flying. So that was the fastest storm I've seen, and so far that has yet to be beat. But I wouldn't be shocked if these storms here are moving 80 miles an hour. They are absolutely flying. New scan coming in here. And again, these scans are coming in every about 2 minutes. We're seeing about minute and a half to be exact. Well, actually, it's 1 minute and 40 seconds. So each scan you see is about 2 minutes apart. So for reference, let's go ahead and kind of time this out with the Pennsylvania radar here. About a minute and 50 to be exact. So if we just time this out, let's go ahead and just estimate how fast this is going. It goes from right here to about right here in about a minute. Let's go ahead and kind of map that out. If I can get my thing to come back. There it is. It's about a mile or two, mile and a half or so. So we're traveling about, my math is correct, between 75 and 85 miles per hour. Estimated. That's not scientific. It's just very, very broad estimation via radar here. So the point is, they're moving. See a question here. Actually, we just talked about that kink in the line there. Look what just happened over here in Pennsylvania. Golf ball size hail and radar indicated rotation. That is a nasty looking storm here for the Forks Church, Old Gum Tree, Brick Church, Pyra, Whitesburg, and Elderton areas. That is a nasty, nasty signature there. I also want to take a little bit of a note here and say, you see how this thing is kind of like a boat out, like it's like backwards C. That is your wind getting driven out. When you see all this purple and black in there, that's hail. This is likely going to produce wind-driven hail for this warning area here. That is likely significant. And wind-driven hail can put holes in siding, and your windows are going to come flying through like a bullet. That is a very serious situation, especially if golf ball size hail is occurring here on this storm. Everything here is radar indicated, so it's not confirmed, but that is a very serious situation. What county is that? For Pennsylvania, Armstrong and Indiana counties in Pennsylvania, tornado warning with likely wind-driven golf ball size hail. Take a look at the velocity on this. Let's kind of see. Yeah, and again, you can't really see greens and reds meeting here, but you kind of see how they're. It's a very easy to depict. It's like a QLCS type of rotation here, where you kind of have a little bit of indentation that gets kind of pulled in and sucked up. It's very. It takes a trained eye to catch it, but it's definitely there. Let's take a look at our CC here for both hail and perhaps tornadic debris. Let's take a look at that real quick. Yeah, that is significant hail. Go ahead and line that up here. That is not good. Maybe that was clear air. Let me go ahead and try a different radar here for the Pennsylvania area. This is significant hail either way, but I want to get a good look at this. So I'm going to load in my other product here. I'll go ahead and switch screens so you guys can see what I'm looking at here. I have two radars up at once, so I can just kind of pop in my other radar I have up here running. This is a little bit more advanced radar features. Go ahead and take a 4-panel look at this. We're going to put velocity up there on the top right. We're going to put our CC on the bottom. We're going to put a VIL. And look at that VIL. That is insane. Radar indicated 1.5-inch hail. Turn on our, here we go. Wow. And that's clear air. But regardless, we're getting hail in there. That's very significant in nature, and as well as potential brief tornadoes along that line. So going back to the Ohio threat, though, this line of storms is now entering the Youngstown area. Let's go ahead and flip our radar back over here to the eastern Ohio. There we go. This line of storms is now entering the Ashtabula, Pierport, Mecca, Cortland, Youngstown, Boardman area. So we're about to find out how strong these winds are. I know Youngstown has a lot of measuring tools on it, so we'll have a lot of confirmed gust reports here, whether it's severe or not severe. We're going to find out very, very quickly as these storms move through. And we're getting very close here to the end of our coverage as these storms are flying northeast at about 70 to 80 miles per hour. So we're going to be saying goodbye to these storms for our Pennsylvania friends, and we're going to clear the state of Ohio momentarily. You're going to have to help me out where Watertown is, Janelle. I'm not familiar with New York. I don't see it on here listed as a big city, so help me out. There it is. So let's go ahead and time that out here. I have not looked at models today, to be honest with you guys. I saw Indiana and Michigan had very little threat, and I said, day off. Let's go ahead and track this out, though. So this is your future radar here. Let's go ahead and go back to the 15Z. There we go. Let's roll us through. Yes, they'll make it to her pretty easily, as you can see here. It's about model says 5 p.m. Would not be shocked at all. 4-hour time frame, the entire state. These things are hauling. Yeah, be alert up there in Watertown for your friend there, Janelle. As far as the risk goes, let's go ahead and pop open the radar and take a look at the SPC outlook to kind of see what Watertown is in today. Marginal risk, so a low end risk. Would not be shocked though if this thing continues to haul with winds. So I think the winds are your primary concern there in the Watertown area, but the highest risk off to the south and west there. I'll look to kind of dive into the ingredients here and kind of get a better idea. But the SPC thinks it's going to die out by the time it gets to that general area. Another tornado warning coming in here now for the southern half of that line. That's going to be in Westmoreland County as well as parts of Fayette and not Somerset, just parts of Westmoreland and Fayette counties. That's going to be a radar indicated rotation as well. But again, Pennsylvania is not in our coverage area. But while we're around here, we'll kind of take a peek at it just in case you guys may know people in the path. Back here to the Youngstown area, Ashtabula, you guys are getting hammered right now with likely severe winds. But I'd say we're probably about 10 to 15 minutes away from being completely done with our coverage for the state of Ohio. Looks like they're already going ahead and issuing warnings for the line out ahead here in Pennsylvania. So Erie, Pennsylvania, Fairview, Meadville, Linesville, Titusville, Corey, you guys are all in that new warning here. Looks like they also extended this warning further to the east, unless I just missed something here, for the Pennsylvania area. I might have just missed it, or maybe it's part of that warning. I don't know. But that continues now for the counties in Pennsylvania. Let's go ahead and find this here. Lawrence, Mercer, Crawford, and Beaver, as well as Washington counties, all within that severe warning as well. Take a look back here at that tornadic storm. Looks like we have a little pop-up cell that kind of popped out in front. That could be a bad sign here as well. When we have merging storms, like for example, this merges into the line here, we could have some brief spin up happen there too, as cell mergers like to cause funny things to happen. So all along this line really has potential for a brief spin up tornado. Not seeing anything tight on rotation at this time. It was much tighter back here toward that Vandergrift area. We talked about, I think I actually circled that before it went warned by the Leechburg area. But this thing is hauling northeast. These scans are about 2 to 3 minutes apart. We're getting probably 4 or 5 mile distance here on these storms. So thank you, Scott. Appreciate that, and it's our pleasure to do this. Julie, no. We had a couple. Actually, we had like one or two cells try to go up in Lenawee Monroe. That looks pretty gusty, but nothing close to severe. So it tried, but it just didn't have enough juice, which is kind of what we thought was going to happen. But wanted to make sure before we actually really wrote it off. There's your new severe warning. They are can't talk today. They are continuing the severe considerable warning into the state of Pennsylvania for these storms as they are now entering the state line. And the counties listed as Mercer, Lawrence, Butler, Beaver, Allegheny, and Washington, all within that new warning here. So you guys in Pennsylvania getting hit with two lines today, line one and line two. So it's a 1-2 punch for you guys. Yeah, it did, Julie. It did. About 10 minutes more, we'll end our coverage here for Ohio. The risk continues, though, for New York and Pennsylvania. This line is going to produce severe winds all across the state, as well potential for brief spin-up tornadoes. It's a low potential, but with this line, with these, we call them QLCS type of lines, you're getting very, very quick spin-ups here as a possibility along these warnings. Going back to that one that became warned, kind of see how those greens and reds up here are more so apart from each other. Like we're kind of seeing that gray in the middle. Down here, they're kind of closer together. So that's why I assume they prompted the warning here for this area. So keep an eye on that. Heading right for the Ligonier, Pennsylvania area in the Armstrong County, Pennsylvania vicinity. Numerous reports of severe hail in Pennsylvania as well. Golf ball size hail, actually, which is what prompted that warning, I'm assuming, for the northern storm. Numerous reports of hail, 1 inch, 1.25 inch, 1.75 inch. So, not surprised with that at all. Got another report here coming in out of Crawford County of wind gusts up to 59 miles per hour. So, this line has continued to produce severe winds. Even though it looks very unorganized, it is cranking those winds out in the Crawford County area. Going south here to Beaver County, the ASO or AWOS station reported a 48 mile per hour wind gust in Beaver, again, Beaver County, which is going to be in Pennsylvania, actually. So this is out ahead of this line, perhaps from the first line, if I'm not mistaken. Nothing here from Mahoney or Columbiana County yet. So no confirmed gusts on the southern part of the cell. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Pittsburgh radar here. Now, this line is actually, yeah, check this out, guys. This is what we're talking about. The winds above our heads, the winds above our heads are so strong that they're mixing down, even with these very little like sprinkles, so to speak. It's very, very light rain showers. Turn your velocity though. Check us out. Your velocity along these rain showers upwards of severe 50 to 60 miles per hour along just sprinkles to rain showers. So any type of rain, heavy or light in nature, is going to mix those strong winds down to the ground, which is why you see widespread severe warnings today across eastern Ohio and Pennsylvania. So the good news, though, is we're going to say goodbye to this very shortly. Excuse me, into Pennsylvania. and we'll have very little to no threat after this for severe weather in the state of Ohio. Looks like they continued that warning here for golf ball size hail in Pennsylvania. And there goes our velocity table kind of getting all messed up. We're going to go ahead and switch back over here to GR2. Hopefully that gets fixed here in the future. Velocity here in the top right, your CC on the bottom right. That's clear air. Nothing too concerning rotational wise. Perhaps up here outside the warning in the Armstrong area, but that's pretty weak in nature. I'd probably be concerned right about here, maybe up here as well, where you see these really strong, brighter yellowish tan color next to a darker red. Perhaps something going on there. All right. Well, back here to the central part of Pennsylvania, eastern part of Pennsylvania. Sorry, eastern. We're going to say goodbye very quickly here to this cell as it's about to cross the state line here in about 5 minutes. Once we do, we'll pop out of here. Yeah, there's a golf ball size hail report there, Julie. That is what more than likely prompted that warning for Armstrong County. Appreciate you guys hopping on, hanging out with me. We'll end this here probably at probably good to end it now, honestly. But this line of storms is about 2 miles away, which is about honestly 3 minutes away from crossing over into um, Pennsylvania. Got a report now coming out of Mahoning County as of about 10 minutes ago. Train spotter reporting 3-inch tree limb reported down, and that's going to be basically in the that's North Lima. I know that area pretty well. So, yep, North Lima, Boardman area. Numerous outages are being reported as well in the state of Ohio, power outages. But I think we're gonna be good to end it here, guys. I'm gonna get some food, get back to working on the Michigan side of things. So if you live in the state of Pennsylvania, your risk is still ongoing and still to come here. Perhaps a 1-2 punch for some of you guys with severe winds, hail, and tornadoes. Actually, I have a third warning now for a tornado warning down here in the Greensburg County or the Westmoreland area. So Westmoreland actually has two separate warnings for tornadoes in effect now. We'll take one last look at that. We'll hop out of here. See if anything is confirmed here. Yeah, I mean it's going to be one of those days we're going to have really brief spin ups here, and it's again you can see right here by Ligonier, could have something trying to develop there, but it's not overly tight, but it's enough to kind of make you turn your head. So, all right, we're going to pop out of here, guys. So with that being said, thanks for tuning in. The risk for Ohio is about over as these storms are pushing across the state line of Pennsylvania as we speak. So risk for severe once that clears completely will be over. In the meantime, you guys have a great day, and I'll catch you guys later.